Hello, my friends! Woo! That's the energy. Oh, amazing. Today, I'm going to show you some mad experience and some crazy ideas that I even talked to my mom, like, Mom, look how amazing is this and how Node.js is crazy behind the scenes. Well, before I start, please take as many pictures as you can. Mention me, mention the event. This helps us a lot with the work we've been doing here. Well, all the slides, live codes, examples are already online for you to try out later. This talk is just highlights for you, but you have a step-by-step, a very complete one to follow along. Nice! So last year, I was in this amazing stage, and I was showing how I fixed a bug in the Node.js core. It was something very crazy for me as well. But after this, I became a Node.js collaborator. So, you know that imposter syndrome that like, do I really know Node.js? I was afraid of going to some conferences and people asking me, how V8 is this? Or why we use Libuv and so on. So I figured out I didn't know much how the things were working behind the scenes. Actually, I was trying to find resources, and I saw that people were complaining that Node.js is not multi-threaded. I was seeing that some people say that Libuv does one thing, V8 does another completely different thing. So I started thinking, I should do this from scratch. I should write myself so I can learn and actually understand the behind the scenes. And I've been doing this a lot on my YouTube channel as well. So there, I re-implemented the Node.js, the WebSocket protocol from scratch to understand why we use Socket.io. I recreated a code coverage tool, a minifying tool, generating source maps, and a lot of other crazy experiments. If you like this kind of stuff, go there as well. As I told you, everything here is based on this YouTube video. So if you find this interesting, go there and do the step-by-step. I abstracted all the complexity for you so you can go even on a cloud environment with all the binaries and everything there just to use. Before we move on, I just want to highlight some points. First of all, I'm not a C++ developer, okay? Probably some C++ developers here are gonna see a lot of bad practices, but I was just trying to make it work, and it finally works. I was like, yeah, don't touch anymore because it's working. And this is part of my own research. As I was telling you, there's no content on the internet about this. Even people on core, on the Node.js core or V8, they were having a hard time to explain to me and to show how I would do some stuff. So it's very hard. And also, for all Node.js collaborators that are here, JavaScript runtime collaborators, or people who's behind the scenes, just a heads up, because this is crazy, my friend. This is crazy how we can use a so simple language to do such a powerful tools, right? We can write everything with JavaScript, but behind the scenes, the magic is very complex. So let's talk about magic, right? We're gonna recreate Node.js from scratch today. And to recreate Node.js, I thought I should use all the components, right? Libuv, V8, and JavaScript and C++ behind the scenes to try using all the components. Well, first, I was trying to look at the Node.js docs there, and I saw those links, but still, I felt it was something missing. So I decided to go on the Node.js v0. Has anyone seen this web page before? Crazy, isn't it? Oh, just one people and some. Yeah, there's some guys here that was in the first version as well. But notice a thing. Node.js is not using console.log. Node.js was using puts. I think it's from Ruby, probably. So I was going on the Node.js repo there, browsing files, and trying to understand how Wendel came up with this solution. Just a thing. Sometimes we think those guys or those girls who makes very crazy stuff on tooling and everything that helps us a lot, we think they're genius, right? Sometimes. But when you go to the commit history, it's very interesting, right? First commit, first compile, 3 dots. I don't know what this means. And it's go even further. Add web page, very incomplete. Try to implement upload, not working. This is crazy, isn't it? Because I don't usually commit when it's not working, but he was just trying to make a proof of concept, that actually worked. Well, my first idea here, my first mind-blowing stuff for me is Node.js is just extending V8, and this is how it's so special. We are adding more information there, adding more features, and you're going to realize today that most of the functions that you use in JavaScript are not JavaScript. Oh my God, this is going to be crazy. I'm going to start talking about those components, right? We have JavaScript, which is the programming language. We have the V8, which is the Chrome engine to parse JavaScript. We have a bunch of C++, and we're going to use Libuv for anything that is asynchronous. We need to read a file, make HTTP requests. We use Libuv. So to get started, V8 is the grammar, right? V8 is the data structures we have there. We have promises, we have map, set, arrays, and so on. We're going to have Libuv. Libuv, in this case, I'm going to show just the event loop. The event loop behind the scenes is just a while true, asking if there's any event pending, and it's just going to release them all. Now, I want to create a new function there in V8. When you download V8, there's anything there, right? It's completely empty. So we're going to use C++ to link all those features and make this something really powerful. As I told you, when you download V8 and you compile, there's nothing there. The global disk is empty. So what if we try using print? Well, if we try executing right there, we're going to see that's undefined is not a function, right? So we have to define it on the C++ side. I'm going to put printf here, just an Easter egg that I'm going to use later. But then when we use global set, now we're going to have this function global on the context, and V8 is going to understand that this is actually something valid, right? So this is how we can use in JavaScript. So what if we use setTimeout? SetTimeout is exactly the same idea, but I will go a bit further. With setTimeout, I'm going to use UV timer start just to show you that anything that is asynchronous, we're going to use Libuv for that. Okay? All right. What if we try running this code? Right there, we're going to have the print function, right? And we could move to our code, and I'm going to show you this program, how it's working, right? A lot of bad practices. So first of all, when you're executing your code, remember I told you, JavaScript is a lie, right? JavaScript is just a string that's going to be parsed into C++ instances. So we are reading the file as a string. We're going to compile. Well, we're going to transform all the JavaScript instructions into C++ instances. And then we actually run it, right? It's like an eval. We just execute it and see it working. And then we can await for events, as I was telling about the Libuv and so on. Just to have a nice idea, right? Node.js is actually just reading file as simple as you can. But here we are not using Libuv, right? Because just the startup, we don't need to be asynchronous because we depend on those processes. All right, let's go further. My God, I've spent a long time doing this. So I have a makefile, and I had to compile all the dependencies, Libuv and V8, and I put everything in the same folder, and I created this makefile to link them all. So if you go to the V8 here, you're going to see all the headers, everything that we need to understand how we can call instructions from that binary, like gigabytes of a binary. Libuv, the same idea, and we have the start. Notice something here. I'm not a C++ developer, right? Ooh. Let me go back. I'm not a C++ developer, right? So I use NodeMon to see all the files that were changing in C++ and execute my command. So I don't know in C++ if they have something like this, but this works really well. First, I'm going to use make to compile all the code, and then it's going to generate a binary. Node.js is exactly the same idea. We have a binary, and we send a file path, right? So I'm going to use capybara, which is a very known animal in South America, and execute this command. When I made this work, I cannot explain to you how was the feeling, but I'm going to show you later how is the V8 and so on, the Libuv actually. What happens if you call console.log? Look how amazing is this. If you call console.log, there is no error. Well, console.log doesn't exist there, but there's no error. If I try printing what is the object, we're going to see that it's there. And we have all the keys. I have no idea why they are there if we cannot use. I think it's just an interface so you can implement, because you're probably gonna implement this as well. Well, set timeout. Set timeout doesn't exist. What about set interval? Set interval doesn't exist either. My God. My mind like, oh no. I was calling all my friends doing, did you know JavaScript is a lie? Console.log doesn't exist. My God. I've been using console.log since the beginning. And this is crazy, right? So any runtime can implement by themselves. But this is not a mess, right? We have working groups that show you which functions you might have there, but they don't tell you about implementation, right? They just say, oh, this is the functions that you should have there. All right, let's move forward. So let's talk about this print function. If you go there, you're going to see that we use printf. I remember when I was going to the university, my God, this was the first function I ever seen in my life. And it's there since nowadays, right? It's crazy. All right, so going back to the same diagram, right? I have the print function, and I'm going to extend V8 and put this on the global context. So this print function is going to be available. Every time I have this string, V8 is going to try finding where is it in the JavaScript side. Amazing. Well, V8 is so complete that everything works there. Remember, the grammar, all the data types, they are there. And you can use toString, you can even use template strings, you can try using very complex objects as well, such as map, set, spread operators, and so on. This is why this is so powerful, because we can use everything. And remember, promises are part of the JavaScript. But promises are not asynchronous. They are just wrappers for callbacks. This is why they are on V8 and not Node.js using Libuv and so on. Okay, to make everything work, I was like, I should use Libuv also, right? So let's try implementing set interval and set timeout. And this was very hard, because remember, when we schedule a timer, this is going to be executed in the future, and we should store those variables in somewhere, right? And this was crazy. So first, we're going to need a timer function there that uses some signatures from V8, but let's just get an idea that we are grabbing all the arguments, just the sleep and the terminal, and we're going to have the callback as well, so we can call it later. Then I'm going to store all the data I want to be executing in the future, and then I'm going to call the Libuv, okay? See, Libuv is just using timer start and sleep and interval. You just change the variable names there, the values for sleep and terminal, to do both set interval and set timeout. All right, if you go there, we're going to see the callback, the function that's going to be executed in the future. Exactly the same idea. I grab all the parameters there, I transform into a C++ callback, right? See, JavaScript is a lie, my friend. Oh my God, everything is C++ right there, right? So we have this callback, and we actually call it using the Libuv API. So now this code is gonna go back to the JavaScript side. If we go to the JavaScript side now, actually, we can see the Libuv, right? The event loop is just a run function, which is pretty straightforward. It's pretty nice to use it. But going to the code, I just create some wrappers here, and I'm using set timeout, right? So I created set timeout and set interval. So I just exported this function so we can create more abstractions in the JavaScript side, exactly how Node.js is being doing. And see here, promises are just wrappers, right? Because I'm using promises here, I can use await and async await. So this is pretty nice. If we run this code, exactly the same idea we've done, we're going to see this working. I'll tell you, that was like knocking my wife's door. My God, this finally worked. I've spent a month doing this, and I would say most of the time I wasn't sure that this might work, but it finally worked. This is pretty amazing. Well, if you take a look at all the implementation did here, you're gonna see that in the first version, the 0.11, Wendel was doing something similar. He got everything that is very complex from C++ and exported, make it available so you can use from JavaScript. So he was implementing all the ideas right there. This is pretty amazing. Well, my first question was, is that easy to build a Node.js or JavaScript runtime from scratch? Why we have Deno? Why we have Bun now that claims to be way faster and so on? So I started researching and I find out very interesting things. First, Deno. Deno is built using Rust, V8, and they use Tokyo for event loop and asynchronous functions. But if you go to the browsing, browsing the files there, you're gonna see they're doing exactly the same thing. They are grabbing the JavaScript, they are parsing into V8 instances and executing, and even injecting more code in the context, exactly the same idea Node.js was doing. Also, Bun. Well, Bun uses Zig, which is weird. JavaScript core, which is even weirder because there's no docs on the internet. I think this guy has more, has more information that we have. But browsing the whole context there, you're gonna see they're doing exactly the same thing. They are importing a JavaScript runtime that someone is using on browsers and executing code, injecting variables, and injecting more context. Now I can see your face like this, right? Okay, they are doing the same thing, but what makes one better than another, right? Is it the language they chose? Is it because it's Rust? Oh, I'm gonna cause some troubles here. Well, let's take a look at the Node.js core. Node.js core uses these functions to export file system functions, right? So right there, we have all those functions, exactly the same other ones we're doing. But what makes one runtime better than others or faster is how they handle the operating system responses. So Node.js can use a data structure to handle those buffers, can process data on demand, can export and make it easier for people to use on JavaScript. But when you're using JavaScript, you have probably you're gonna have some performance issues, right? Because you have to transform data from one language to another, and this is a small weight you have to pay. So sometimes people prefer doing things directly on C++ because it's gonna be easier to handle, but as you can see, it's a very complex code that's not so anyone that can handle that. Well, in my opinion, developer experience, this changes everything. This is, I think, why Deno became so popular in so short period, because they had test runners, they had a lot of things, TypeScript that developers love. So now we have a lot of other different runtimes, but do you think they are competing with each other? Who here thinks they are competing with each other? Oh, no one. Oh. So it turned out this guy that's here, right? He's Jared Summer actually is the Bun's creator, so he joined the Node.js organization, so they are collaborating each other. And Colin, who just gave a talk here, he's part of the Libuv. He wrote a lot of code of Libuv. He's been working on Node.js for a long time. He joined Deno, and he also introduced a lot of new functions that, because we had all those competitions now, we can say, oh, this is a demand, right? We should implement or we should make it faster. Just so you have an idea, after all those these competitors just came, we had more performance, we have like performance working groups, we have people now trying to look at the whole world and say, okay, we can improve this tool because we have other people doing, but it's not actually competition, right? I gave this talk in another conference, and Wendel was there. I would say I was petrified, right? I was like, oh my God, I'm going to give a talk about his life, and I've never talked to him if this is really true, right? But we were discussing, and he said, well, when you are using those runtimes, the future will be we're going to have a standard or some API that anyone can use it. So it's going to be up to you or up to the cloud platform that's going to choose what's better, right? So for the JavaScript side, they probably reach some standard APIs, and those cloud computers can use right away. All right, as I told you, everything here is on this YouTube video. I'm just showing you because you can follow along. You can go step by step, and this took me a long time to build. So go there, try yourself, and call your JavaScript runtime as you wish, right? If you want to follow more content and study a bit more, I have all the talks I've given on my website. You can go there. But I've released an ebook. So this ebook will show you the step by step, but also I put a challenge there so you can create your own read file function. This is gonna be great, isn't it? Well, before I finish this talk, I wanna do some traditional stuff that we do, right? So we can make people envy at home. So let's take a selfie. Oh, nice. So I'm gonna count on 3, right? And we just, okay? I'm very good with examples, right? So, whoops, wrong camera. 1, 2, 3. Thank you so much for having me.